Hello, everyone. Now, senior, let's continue with variation. We mentioned it earlier that variation is the change in one quantity with another, and there are different types of variation listed there: direct, inverse, joint, and partial. Direct and inverse variation are somewhat, similar. We can learn them together. So let's just take this exercise and do a few questions. So x is directly proportional to y, and x is 5 when y is 12. Here, first thing you do here is, connect it, connect x and y with the proportionality sign or variation sign, as the case may be. So change this sign to equality sign and introduce your constant. So if x is directly proportional, if x varies directly as y, it means x is equal to ky. Introduce your constant. So the question says x is 5 when y is 12. So that means 5 is equal to k times 12. So 12k is equal to 5. You rearrange, and k will be 5 over 12. It means that coming back to this x is equal to ky, you replace k with the value you've gotten, 5 over 12. So the relationship between x and y will be equal to x is equal to 5 over 12y. That gives you the relationship between x and y. The question now says find y when x is 20. This is simple. You know the relationship. You want to find y when x is 20. That's simple. 20 is equal to 5 over 12y. That will give you 20 over 1 is 5y over 12. So 5y, when you cross multiply, is equal to 20 times 12. So your y will now be equal to 20 times 12 over 5. When you simplify, you get 48. Question 2 says r varies directly as t squared, and r is 25 when t is 4. R is 25 when t is 4. That's straightforward, simple. Change the expression from r varies directly as t squared to r is equal to kt squared. That helps you introduce your constant of proportionality or constant of variation. So, and we are told that r is 25 when k is 4, when t is 4. So 25 is equal to k times 4 squared. That means 16k on the right is 25. What does that give you? K is equal to what? 16k is 25. K will be equal to 25 over 16. So your relationship between r and t will now be equal to r is equal to 25 over 16 times t squared. You just come here, come to this place, replace the constant that you have gotten with 25 over 16, and you get the relationship between r and t. Now the question says find t when r is 49. Write the relationship first. R is equal to 25 over 16 times t squared. So what does that give us? That gives us 49. We are looking for t when r is 49. So 49 is equal to 25 over 16 times t squared. So when you simplify, 49 over 1, 49 over 1 is equal to 25t squared over 16. And that tells you what? 25t squared. That tells you 25t squared is equal to 49 times 16. So you simplify, find square root of both sides. Then you get t square root of 784 over 25. And you get 28 over 5. Question 3 says A varies inversely as Q. This one means A varies inversely as Q. A varies inversely as Q. That's how we write it. Now, change the variation to an equation by introducing your constant. A will be equal to K over Q. And we are told that A is 8/1 over 4, 1 Q is 5. So that means 8/1 over 4 will be equal to K over 5. Can you see that? So 8/1 over 4 is 33 over 4. So 33 over 4 is K over 5. If you cross multiply, 4K will be equal to what? 5 times 33. So K will be 5 times 33 over 4. And that's 165 over 4. So K is 165 over 4. So go back to your relationship where you wrote that A is equal to K over Q. Now you know the value of K, so we don't need the K there anymore. We know that K is 165 over 4 now. So your relationship will be equal to A is equal to 165 over 4 divided by Q. And on simplifying, that will give you, the 4 will just come down. Just bring this 4 down. You understand? And, or, let me show you how we got that. 165 divided by 4, 165 over 4 divided by Q. That will give you what? 165 over 4 times 1 over Q. Can you see that? And you get this. So now, we know the relationship between A and Q. We want A when Q is 15. We write the relationship out. The relationship we got, we repeat it and substitute. So our answer will now be, we need A when Q is 15. So we just go, A is equal to 165 over 4 times 15 over 4 multiplied by 15. So 165 over 60. A will be 11 over 4. Also, we need Q when A is 11. First thing we do now, too, is to write the relationship out. After writing the relationship, we know our A to be 11. So 11 will be equal to, the right-hand side here. That gives us what? That gives us, when you cross multiply. So when you cross multiply, what do you get? You get Q is equal to 165 over 44. 11 will divide 165, 15, to give you 15. Then 11 will divide 44 to give you 4. So Q is 15 over 4 when A is 11. I think that ends question 3. Let's now go to question 4. Let's go to question 4 now. Let me try and make this bigger. In question 4, it says, n varies directly as the square root of p. N varies directly as the square root of p. Excuse me. Let me put this down. Okay? It says n varies directly as the square root of p, and n is 12 when p is 25. Let's go. N varies directly at the square root of p, and n is 12 when p is 25. Let me try and be sure I got that right. Okay, that's correct. So we change that variation sign to an equation. N is equal to k times root p. Our n is 12. Our n is 12 when p is 25. So 12 will be equal to k times root 25. What does that give you? 12 is equal to k times 5. Rearranging, what do you get? 12 is equal to 5k. Let me take all these steps so nothing looks ambiguous. So rearranging, we get 5k is 12. What does that give us? 5k is equal to 12. So that means k is 12 over 5. So in your relationship now, what it means is that in your relationship where you wrote n is equal to k times root p, just change the k to 5 and you get what we need. Just change the k to its value, 12 over 5, and we get what we need. So my relationship will be n is equal to 12 over 5 root p. That's all. We just change that k to 12 over 5. Now that's the first part of the form of the question. It says we should find the formula connecting. First part of the question says we should find the formula connecting n and p. That's our relationship that we have gotten here. We've gotten the formula connecting n and p. So question B says we should find n when p is 81. That's pretty simple. N question mark when p is equal to what? 81. So first thing, we write the relationship out. N is equal to 12 over 5 root p. So we want n when p is 81. So that means n is 12 over 5 times root 81. Now that our p is 81. So n is equal to 12 over 5 times root 81 is 9. 12 over 5 times 9. That gives us what? N is equal to 12 times 9 is 108, and that's 108 over 5. You can simplify if you like and write n is equal to 21. I think that's what it will be. 21 whole number 3 over 5. Okay, that's question B. Next part of the question says we should find P when n is 36. The next part says we should find P when n is 36. I'm just trying to make things look beautiful. So we want P when n is what? 36. We can write it anyhow. You can write this first if you choose. Our relationship is the first thing we write. N is equal to 12 over 5 root P. So we now want P when n is 36. So that means 36 over 1 is equal to 12 over 5 root P. Let's simplify this very correctly. This will give us 36 over 1 is 12 root P all over 5. We now cross multiply. So 12 root P will be equal to 5 times 36. How do we simplify this? This will give us root P is equal to 5 times 36 over 12. So you just divide both sides by 12. What I've done here is that I've divided this side by 12. 12 we cut 12. But let me show you here. Let me show you how I did it here. I divided this side by 12 and divided this side too by 12. So the one here will not show. The only thing I will see on the left hand side will just be root P. So that gives me root P is 5 times 3, because 12 in 36 is 3. 12 in 36 is 3, so I get root P is 15. How do I get my P? I will square both sides. So I now square both sides to get my P. When I square both sides, what do I get? I'm going to do root P all squared is equal to 15 all squared. In this left hand side, 2 we cut off the square root sign. Are you getting what I'm saying? So P will be 15 times 15, which is 225. So P is 225 when n is 36. I think that ends number 4. Let's go to question 5 now. Y varies directly as the square of x. Y varies directly as the square of x. Let me write that down first then. Y varies directly as the square of x. It says y is 2 when x is 4. Y is 2 when x is 4. The question now says find x when y is 32. When y is 32, find x. That's pretty simple. Let's go ahead. There are no two parts in the question. Let me take that away. Or we can introduce it. So, because we are going to find relationship first. Now, this gives us y is equal to k times x squared. From y varies directly as x squared, we change it to an equation from variation, and we will get what? Y is equal to k times x squared. So, just change this symbol to equality sign and introduce your constant after doing that. So y will be equal to k times x squared. Now, the question says y is 2 when x is 4. So that means 2 is equal to k times 4 squared. 4 squared is 16. That gives us 2 is k times 4 times 4. So 2 is what? 16k. 2 is equal to 16k. 16, that will be what? 16k is equal to 2, and that gives us k is what? 2 over 16. Now, if I get 2 over 16, I reduce it to 1 over 8. My constant is 1 over 8. I'll go back to my relationship. My relationship will now be what? Y is equal to 1 over 8x squared. Because normally, my relationship was y is equal to k times x squared. But now that I know the value of k, my relationship was y is equal to k times x squared. But now that I know the value of k, I can just put my 1 over 8 here. So my y will be what? 1 over 8x squared. That's my relationship between y and x. So y is equal to 1 over 8 times x squared. Okay. The question says we should find x when y is 32. I don't know whether I jot that down. Okay, yeah, I did. But let me do it again. Second part says we should find x when y is what? 32. Find x when y is 32. Okay, correct question. First thing to write is the relationship. Y is 1 over 8x squared. So 32 is equal to 1 over 8x squared. I can rearrange this to make it look, nicer. 32 over 1 is what? X squared over 8 and cross multiply. X squared is 8 times 32. So that means x is what? 8 times 2, 16, 8 times 3, 24 plus 1, 25. So x squared is 256 and x is square root of 256. You press your calculator, x will be 16. So x is 16. X is 16 when y is equal to what? 32. Let me turn that up more. Now, question 6 now. If y varies inversely as x, okay, we go straight and find the equation. If y varies inversely as x, if y varies inversely as x, so change it to an equation straight. Y will be equal to k over x. We are also told that what? And if y is equal to 5 when x is 4, y is equal to 5 when x is what? 4. This will help us, this set of given values will help us get our relationship. So we go ahead and say this means 5 is equal to k over 4. I'm coming from here. Y is equal to k over x, and I know the value of y as 5 when x is 4. So that means I'll say 5 is equal to k over 4. When I simplify that, senior, what do I get? That's 5 over 1 is k over 4. And on cross multiplying, I'll get what? K is equal to 4 times 5. K is equal to what? 20. K is equal to 4 times 5. K is equal to 20. Now, that's just my, constant of proportionality, which helps me get my relationship. My relationship is y is k over x when I don't know the value of k. But now that I know the value of k, I can write my relationship in full now and say my relationship is y is equal to 20 over x. So instead of writing k, I'll just go ahead and fill in the value of what? I'm filling the value of my k. So this is my relationship in full. Y is equal to 20 over x. The question says, the second part of the question says, find x when y is 40. Okay, let's make that part B. Find x, question mark, when y is what? 40. First thing to write down is your relationship. Y is 20 over x. You are looking for x when y is 40. So 40 is 20 over x. Let's make 40 40 over 1 and cross multiply. So 40x is equal to 20. 40x is equal to 20. X is equal to 20 over 40. X is equal to what? 1 over 2. Is that clear? So that ends question 6. Number 7 now. Question 7 now. T varies directly as the square root of v. T varies directly as the square root of v. Okay? I wrote 4. As the square root of v. Then the next part of the question says t is equal to 9 when v is 6 1 over 4. T is 9 when v is 6, 1 over 4. So first thing, let's go ahead and find the relationship between t and v. T varies directly as the square root of v. You change it to an equation by introducing the constant. So t will be equal to k times root v. T is 9 when v is what? 6, 1 over 4. So t is equal to k times root 6, 1 over 4. That gives you 9 is k times square root of 25 over 4. That gives you 9 is k times root 25 over root 4. I can split the square root signs like that. Let me break my page into two to just manage space. So 9 over 1 is what? 5k. Okay, do you understand how I got 5k from here? K times root 25. Root 25 is 5, so 5 times k, 5k. 5k over 4 over 2. The square root of 4 is also 2 from here. The square root of 4 is 2 from there. So I'll just cross multiply. What do I get? 5k. I'll get 5k is 18. So k is 18 over 5. Now, going back to my relationship. My relationship is meant to be t is equal to k root v. But now that I know the value of k as 18 over 5, this is my relationship. T is k root v. But now that I know k as 18 over 5, I don't need to write k anymore. I'll just write my value for k. So the relationship is t is equal to 18 over 5 root v. This is the relationship between k and t. This is the relationship between k and t. That ends part A in the question. Let's go to part B. It says find t when v is 51. First thing, we need t when v is what? 81, not 81. We need t when v is 81. First thing to write is the relationship. T is 18 over 5 root v. T is 18 over 5 root v. That's a relationship between t and v. So that means t will be equal to 18 over 5 root 81. All right, now, so going forward, t is 18 over 5 times 9. 18 times 9, what does that give you? 9 times 8, 72. 9 times 1, 9. Plus 7, 16. 9 plus 7, 16. 262 over 5. So t is 262 over 5 when v is 81. There's another part in the question that says we should find v when t is 18. Find v when t is 18. When t is 18, find v. Question mark. That's pretty straightforward too. First thing to write is the relationship. T is 18 over 5 root v. So that gives us what? When t is 18, we want v. So 18 is equal to 18 over 5 root v. Okay, I'm going to simplify this by cutting off the 218. So I have 1, 1 in those positions. So 1 is equal to 1 over 5 root v. Can you see what I did? There's 18 on the left, 18 over 1. There's 18 here too. So I can cut the 2 to remove them. So I can cut the 2 to remove them. I'll get 1 is equal to 1. So this gives me what? This gives me 1 over 1 is root v over 5. I'm just going to leave enough space there so you can see it well. This gives me 1 over 1 is root v over 5. When I cross multiply, what do I get? What do I get when I cross multiply? My cross multiplication will give you root v is equal to 5. If root v is equal to 5, you square both sides to get your v. Square both sides to get v. How do you get v when you square both sides? You are going to do this. Root v all squared is also equal to 5 squared. So take note of how we do this. The root cancels out the power. So you get what? You get v is equal to 25. So v is 25 when t is 18. Take note of that. So let's pause here. We'll do more in the next video, more examples in the next video, and I'll give you some exercise.